The Scandal of Ur, a meditation on origins. I have often wondered why the self-righteous gatekeepers of the faith, those who construct their country clubs of exclusion, so conveniently forget the origin of their own story. They preach a gospel of purity, lineage, and being born right. Yet when I examine the foundation stone of their entire edifice, Abraham, I see a truth so uncomfortable, so radical, that it is systematically overlooked. Abraham, the father of the faithful, was not born a believer. He was not a Jew. He was not a Christian. He was a pagan from Ur of the Chaldeans, a man of Mesopotamia, modern day Iraq. By all definitions of the modern Pharisee, he was an outsider. Why is this overlooked? I believe it is because the truth of Abraham dismantles the scam of religious elitism. Plato taught that we live in a world of shadows, mistaking appearances for reality. The modern church has mistaken the appearance of piety, the right clothes, the right politics, the right seminary degree, for the reality of faith. To admit that the father of faith was an idol worshiper from a heathen land is to acknowledge that God does not care about our pedigrees. It is to admit that the light can strike anyone, anywhere, even in the darkest corner of the cave. This forgetfulness represents a failure of the Stoic virtue of wisdom. The Stoics taught that we must see things as they truly are, stripped of our judgments. When we strip away the sanitized Sunday school image of Abraham, we see a man who had no Bible, no church, and no Christian heritage. He had only a voice in the desert and the courage to listen. By ignoring his pagan roots, the church protects its own narcissism. It allows them to pretend that we have always been the chosen ones, and they have always been the enemy. It is a double talk that erases the shared humanity of the very region that birthed the faith. Immanuel Kant argued that true religion is not about statutory laws or rituals, but about the moral disposition of the heart. Abraham exemplifies this. He was chosen not because he followed the rules, but because he possessed a goodwill. He was willing to leave everything he knew, his comfort, his security, his culture, to follow a truth he could barely comprehend. The modern country club is terrified of leaving their comfort. They desire a God who affirms their status quo. Abraham's story is a rebuke to this state. It declares that God is found in the departure from the known, not in the fortification of it. The Neoplatonists described the soul's journey as a return of the alone to the alone. Abraham's journey from Ur was a physical manifestation of this spiritual ascent. He left the multiplicity of the pagan pantheon to seek the one. Yet the modern church has reversed this. They have descended back into multiplicity, the worship of money, power, and national identity. They overlook Abraham's origin because it reminds them that the chosen are not a closed club of the righteous, but a collection of called sinners. To remember Ur is to recall that grace is an ambush. It does not come to the worthy. It comes to the Chaldean. It comes to the Iraqi. It comes to the outsider. If God could choose a pagan from Mesopotamia to be the father of his people, then who am I to say who is in and who is out? The scandal of Ur is the scandal of grace itself. It is unearned, unexpected, and utterly obliterates our human hierarchies. Zerga, in synthesis with the philosophers, reminds us that this is not just a story of origins, but a continuing narrative of inclusion, where boundaries are transcended and the divine chooses whom it wills, often to challenge our deepest preconceptions.